I have Jetfire, the Siege version, or do I? You're like, okay, I mean, I've seen this guy before. What makes him so special? Well, this is not the Siege Jetfire. This is a knockoff, and he's bigger. And let me show you, because this is a Siege Jetfire, and he's bigger. Pretty friggin' amazing. He's a little impressed. Yes, this guy is like 14 3/4 inches compared to the original Jetfire, who's a mere 12 inches. So almost 3 inches of height more on this guy. And I'm gonna go through them and talk about the differences and what's the same and see if it's good for your collection. If you're new to the channel, I'm Captain Kyle, welcome aboard. If you've been watching for a long time, thanks for coming back, I really appreciate it. And we're gonna have some fun with Jetfire. Be right back. So I put the other Jetfire aside for now. We're gonna concentrate on this really big one, because that's what this review is all about. But don't worry, he'll be back, he'll be back. So for those who are familiar and just want a refresher, or those who are not that familiar with the saga of Jetfire, he came out in 1985 as a toy. He was called Skyfire on the show, and he was a repainted a bit Robotech Macross Valkyrie, which caused all kind of legal issues. But through the years, he's had many other versions. In fact, I'm gonna probably do an evolution of him at some point. And the Siege one has been considered like the best. This is even bigger than the normal Siege one. Now, there are some differences, and I want to point those out. One, let's bring him back in here for a moment. The blue. The blue is a little bit different on his head. This is lighter than the oversized knockoffs. That's a little bit darker of a blue. The canopy looks about the same, and the red on the back looks a little bit different. Now, the wings, I'm noticing. On the Hasbro one, the bottom part here, once you flip it out, it's kind of a little hollow. It's got a hole there. Whereas on the oversized one, it's filled in. So that's kind of a nice touch. Now, it does have a kind of indentation there. I'm not sure if you could still put some kind of weapons on there, but we'll figure it out. That's what this review is all about. But for the most part, it is pretty much the same. The red might be a tinge darker on the oversized version. As I'm looking at it, it seems like it is, but otherwise they're pretty much identical, including the fact now on the original Siege Jetfire, to pay homage to the fact that he was Decepticon for about 13 seconds, you can flip around his symbol to show him as a Decepticon. Now, he does not have symbols, but he does have an Autobot shaped stamp here, and you can flip it around and he's got a Decepticon shaped stamp there. So if you put stickers on there, you can basically cause the same effect by flipping it back and forth. I am an Autobot now. Well, other than those slight changes, they're really virtually identical, only different in scale. Now, they both have the chest shields, obviously the Autobot symbol on the smaller one for the smaller Jetfire. This also has the face mask inside it, and it feels a little heavier. Speaking of that, this feels a little heavier. He does have some die cast. I think there's some die cast maybe in the hips. There's definitely die cast in the feet. These are metal feet, which is pretty nice. Adds a little heft to him, makes him a little more sturdy. And they come with very similar accessories. Now with the original Jetfire, you could flip out these little pieces on his chest. I'm gonna turn you back into an Autobot because having you be a Decepticon just doesn't sit right with me anymore. And you could put on the chest shield and the face and the extra guns, and he looks pretty badass. And of course, you could also take his regular gun and split it in twain so he could have two guns. Well, with this guy, you can do all the same stuff. Well, for the most part. So it comes with these two gadgets, but unfortunately, they don't seem to plug in to the sides like on the original, which is kind of weird. I'm wondering if we could plug them in elsewhere. Now, the original Jetfire ones come apart, as do these. Slight bit difference of a design to them, as in there's no hole on the other side to plug it in. Wait, maybe? Nope. And these weapons are gray, as is the gun, as opposed to these weapons being black, though the guns appear to be very similar in color, as do the side guns. But these are gray, and yeah, interestingly, I mean, I guess you could plug it into his back there. So that is one minus for this gargantuan guy, but to be honest, when I set up my Jetfire, I don't use these. These are just not something that I really like to have on my Jetfire. In fact, the mask The chest shield I usually don't have because I like the cartoonish Jetfire look. But that is one minus, but those can possibly go together in some way on his vehicle mode, which we will get to. Now, one thing that this guy has that is not on the original Jetfire is his eyes light up. He's got a little button in the back here. Might be hard to see. Yes, when you press the button in the back, his eyes light up blue. There's no way to make them red for Decepticon. So except for the inability to attach these in robot mode, they're virtually, again, identical. Slight changes here and there on the design. And to be honest, I really like the standard Jetfire look, or rather Skyfire. So I wouldn't have all those attachments on anyway. The two guns are still nice. Say hello to my little friends. So I'm not spotting any other real differences. He also does have blast effects that comes with him, just like the original. I'm not sure where my original blast effects are, and I'm not even sure. I don't know if the blast effects are supposed to go into the weapons or not. They don't seem to fit on the end of the gun. Ah, wait, that one does. So yes, he can be blasting using a blast effect. But I know one thing that is a major concern about knockoffs is the quality. So we're gonna go through the quality on this guy and the posability and all that stuff, and of course his other modes. But one thing we're also going to get into later is the stand that comes with him. He's got a very heavy metal stand that you can pose him in jet mode, flying around, and it's heavy metal, so it shouldn't move. But that's for a little bit later. Let's bring out the Turntable of Doom and give him a spin so you can see him from all angles. Yes, he is Skyfire, and he has very blue eyes. Again, I'm not sure if you can see it in that camera. And yeah, he's a handsome devil. Now, I'm gonna take his gun out. I'll actually recombine them. I kind of like the one gun because that's kind of what he had on the show. So we'll get back to that. But let's take a look and see here. Does he have ankle swivels? I don't even remember if the original did. Now they kind of snap in, so it takes a little bit of force to get them out, but he does have ankle swivels, so he can go into a nice thing like that, and then they snap back in. So these have similar snaps, just these are a little more pronounced, so a little louder. What can you do? And of course, we want to test out something very important. He's got the hip covers, just like the original. Okay, he can do a split. He cannot do a full toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme. So split it is, but when you try to turn the legs, he's got things on the front of his legs that don't allow it. So that kind of stinks. But that's just like the original. The original doesn't do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme either. So he can kick forward, like so. He can kick back, though he runs into his backpack. So you gotta go a little off to the side. He can do a side kick because he can do a nice split. He does bend at the knee very nicely. He does swivel somewhat. He can swivel his legs because it's in the hip joint. So it can go from forward facing to backward facing. I don't know why you would do that, but that's the extent. Can he twist at the waist? Well, the original could only do a very small twisting at the waist, and I'm afraid that that limitation also applies to this guy. He can twist, but not all the way. His arms, were it not for his wings, could go all the way around. They can also go out to the side, bends at the elbow, has a swivel there. Fingers are articulated somewhat. I mean, he can open up his hand somewhat. And when you do that, it actually retracts the thing that holds his weapon. So you have to push his fingers back in order to pop that back out. So he cannot really hold his gun when his fingers are out like that. It kind of sucks, but you know, it's a little more realistic, I guess. It's a clever mechanism. His head, of course, can go all the way around and can move it up and down a little bit, just kind of like the original. You can kind of move that up and down a little bit. So he's got all the same posability, same hip cover, same everything. Not a huge surprise. I mean, look at him. He just looks like an oversized version of that one. Because he is. Time for me to make the transition from science to war. Something like that. It's been a long time since I've seen the Fire in the Sky episode. But yeah, overall, he seems just as posable, just as durable, with the same features, with that one small exception, which I don't really care about. And he can spin like a little teapot, short and stout. Okay, well, he's not doing the dance right. And of course, with his chest shield, you can use it for storage for the mask. You can put his gun on it, just like with the original. You can attach the other guns. So I'm not sure if these guns will attach. We're gonna find out. But yes, we've created the full battle pod that can go on top. And it looks like it could be a cool remote vehicle. Fly down, blast the shit out of some Decepticons. Could be fun. All right, let's get him into his jet mode and see how good that is, if it's good. So there it is. I actually put it on the stand, fully in jet mode, and it is huge. I mean, not saying that the other one isn't huge, but this one is huger. Now the stand plugs into 2 spots on the bottom, gives it stability. It's nice and metal, so you can definitely pose him in flight if you'd like. But I'm gonna wiggle this out, just so I can show him without that. Now, the landing gear is extruded and it's in place, and I think it's been a while since I've transformed him, but I think I got him fully as he should be. But from nose to afterburners, he is 17.5 inches long. Huge. The original from nose to tail is like 14.25 inches. So a substantial increase in size. Still very cool looking jets flying at you. Sound effects not included. I don't think there's any electronics on him in this mode, but let's see if we can just attach the battle pod. I don't know that I really like the battle pod on there. I prefer the sleeker G1 look, but it goes. Unless you knock it apart, like I just did. Easy enough to reassemble. But yeah, he's a very cool looking jet. Now let's see what other configurations we can put weapons on him in. I'm wondering, I mean, you can probably attach some weapons on the bottom if you'd like. Missiles on the wings, missile on top. You could combine the gun, put that on top. You know, however you want to configure him with weapons, but I will say he is huge. I do like the fact that he feels a bit heavier than the original. Definitely some more die cast in there. And he's just a little bit bigger, which is nice. And again, adding those stickers on, you can totally replicate the whole switching from Decepticon to Autobot. Or back, if, you know, I think that's what happened and the Autobots assassinated him. I don't think they did. But yeah, there it is. The oversized Jetfire from Siege, KO. And I definitely say it's quality. Now the cost, he goes for about the same price as an actual Siege one. It's like 94 bucks, somewhere around there. But like I said, he's got some sturdy die cast in here. Seems to have all the quality and nice metal base. And if you're a big Jetfire fan, I mean, why wouldn't you want to have a huge version of the toy? Now, this toy was provided at no cost by the Jerry Store Store, also known as the Tommy Park Store. You can go to Tommy Park's website, which link is in the description. You can also go to the AliExpress page that they run, which is the Jerry Park, or the Jerry Store Store. I think he's slightly cheaper on the website, but there might be a little bit of shipping, so I think it all evens out. Either way, this is a very cool version of Jetfire. Whether you got the original and you just are looking for a slight upsize package, or if you missed out on the original and you're like, hey, well, why should I get something small when I can get something big? It's just a toy, guys, so don't read too much into it, especially you, Logan. But yeah, I'm liking this larger size. He can scale better with my Optimus oversized Siege version. And yeah, I like him. He's very fun. So links in the description for these guys. And I really hope you're enjoying this content as much as I enjoy making it. And if you are, feel free to subscribe. That'd be awesome. If you're already subscribed, well, can't do it again, but thank you for subscribing. And while you're mulling over this large size, just, you know, a little bit bigger version of Jetfire, you can actually check out this video over here, which is my review of the TNT version, which is smaller in size, but it's a really cool version of Jetfire as well. And we will see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.